welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a Q&A session. We're going to cover some topics that I think might be of interest to you. We've got solo RV living, retirement RV living, traveling with pets, and newbie RV living. Now, my channel's kind of new, so I don't have a lot of questions from you, my audience. So I've asked ChatGPT to come up with 25 questions, and we're going to answer those now. Beautiful morning. Now, the first category is solo RVing. Here we go. Question number one, what's your favorite thing about traveling solo? That's a great question. I think that probably it's being able to do or not to do whatever I want to do, excuse me, without having to confer with another person. Now, that probably is a selfish answer, and it is. But, I really enjoyed being able to decide what it is that I want to do and not have to find out if my partner is interested or not interested in doing that. On the other hand, it can be very nice to have somebody to share RV life with. So there's a give and take. But for me right now, solo life and not having to worry about another person's needs is working well for me. Number two, do you ever feel unsafe traveling solo? I have to say that I haven't. I've stayed in a lot of places that are, boondocking, that are, out away from people. And I've not had any experience with people coming onto my site or, I've done some dry camping in parking lots like Walmart. But again, I haven't had any experiences now. It's been 5 years, maybe I'm lucky. I think that if I were a solo woman traveling, I would have different feelings. But no, I haven't felt unsafe or not secure. What personal growth have you experienced since going solo? Wow. So many areas. I think that I have become more outgoing since being solo traveler. I used to be very happy just with my own company, and I am very happy with my own company. But I now walk up to people if I see them outside their RV and excuse me, I will start a conversation and talk about where they're from and what they're doing. So I don't think that that's something that I would have done 5 years ago or did do 5 years ago. But it's become kind of the norm for me now is to reach out and get to know people. What's the biggest myth about solo RVing life? I think the biggest myth is kind of the Nomadland movie situation where people who are solo RVing are down and out on their luck and are unemployed and can't afford to live in better quote unquote better circumstances. I think that's a myth. I think that there are a lot of solo RVers. I think that it's true. There are some solo RVers who, for whatever reason, life has put them in that situation and they're making the best of it. But I think that it's also true that there are people like me who choose this lifestyle, not because we have to or not because we can't afford another lifestyle, but just because it's what we want to do right now and it's working well for us. How do you handle breakdowns or emergencies alone? Well, I've developed self-reliance. If things go wrong with the RV, which they do, I have some skills and I have some tools that I can fix a lot of things. I also have AAA, so I've had some flat tires on the road that I've used AAA to help swap the tire. I can certainly do it myself, but hey, I've got a AAA membership, I might as well use it. The next section is traveling with pets. So question one, how do you keep your pets comfortable on travel days? I have in the back seat of my truck, I have a cat carrier with a fleece bottom, and it's, enclosed completely. Hester loves going in there. It's got things that are piled up around it, and so it's kind of a dark, cozy cave for her. And she'll go in there and she'll settle right in, and a lot of the times she just sleeps as we're going down the road. There's occasion when she is, either hears something or hears something on the, like a book I'm reading that will start her to meowing, and she'll settle back down. And for Zorro, he has a platform that's in the front seat, passenger seat of the truck, that, he's in his harness and he's snapped in there, so he's secure, but he can still look out the windows if he wants to. But he, again, mostly just falls right asleep and settles down, and only perks up if I'm talking to YouTube. How do you manage pet visits on the road? So I have the same vet that I've had for years back in Seattle. They send me reminders, and when I'm in the Seattle area, I always take both Zorro and Hester in for checkups there. But I also will visit other vet clinics if there's an emergency or just one of them is not well. I will take them to a vet clinic in whatever town I'm in. And if there's just, like a booster or something like that, I'll do that in the vet clinic as well. And I'll make sure that my main vet in Seattle will gets a copy of the record from that vet clinic. Has your pet ever gotten lost while RVing? So Zorro hasn't. He's kind of a Velcro dog. I mean, when he's off leash, he will stay close. Sometimes he'll if it's an area that's got a big wide open space, he'll wander off 50 yards or so and just explore. But if I call his name, he always comes. He's never failed to come to me when I call him. So I'm never worried about Zorro getting lost. Hester has escaped the RV on several occasions. One example is we were camped on the Oregon coast, really close to the coastline, in an RV park that had lots of rhododendrons and lots of shrubbery around, and the beach was just down the hill from where I was parked. And Hester darted out of the RV as I was bringing Zorro back in after a walk. It was nighttime. Couldn't find her. She may have been hiding under neighboring RVs. That's what she tends to do, or in the bushes, but I could not find her. I searched for a while. Eventually I just gave up and went to bed. The next morning, there she was at the door, ready to come in. So she'd had her adventure and came back home. The thing I worry about is if she escapes when I'm packing up and ready to leave and does that, I guess I would have to stick around and wait for her to come back, because she doesn't come when she's called. How do you keep your RV clean with a pet? That's a challenge. I have one of those Dyson animal vacuums. So both Zorro and Hester have white hair, really fine hair, especially Zorro's really fine hair. It gets everywhere. So I'm always vacuuming. It's a challenge. Do you travel with pet insurance? I used to have pet insurance for a different dog, not Zorro, but for Maya when I had her. I just didn't find it to be a good cost benefit for me. And sometimes there's restrictions on what vets you can see and what the insurance will cover. So no, I don't have insurance right now. Let's talk about retirement. So how has RVing affected your health or your fitness? I think that overall it's been good. I think that if I were not RVing, I would be leading a much more sedentary life than I am now. I mean, I've got a long ways to go. There's no doubt about it. I'm still a bit of a couch potato, or quite a bit of a couch potato. But just the fact that I'm in an RV, I do things outside and do physical activities and go on walks and things that I probably wouldn't do if I was in an apartment. So I think it's been an overall plus for me. What's your favorite senior-friendly RV park? Well, it has to be Desert Trails in Tucson. I've camped there 4 times, 4 winters, for varying lengths, from 2 weeks to 3 months. It backs right up onto Mountain Trails Park, which is a trail system for hikers and mountain bikers through the Sonoran Desert. It's beautiful. Anyway, it's quirky, food trucks. It's great. How do you stay connected with family and friends? Well, I'm on Facebook, and my family, a lot of my family are on Facebook as well. We're all posting stuff. We use Facebook chat and text and phone calls. And I also have a friend who we do a regular call, sometimes every week, sometimes every other week, to just chat and talk about what's going on in our lives. And, you know, he and I have a lot of things in common. So what's one bucket list destination you've checked off? There's been so many. I have to go with the national parks. I mean, there's been a lot of national parks, but probably Grand Teton and Yellowstone are the 2 favorite bucket list parks that I've been to. I just love the wildlife there. Yeah, those are probably the 2. How do you plan medical appointments or prescriptions? So like my vet, I have a primary care provider back in the Seattle area who I see when I'm there, which is usually every year, but not always. And then I will see other doctors or specialists. Excuse me. Zorro keeps getting tangled up. I will see other specialists or doctors as I travel. Yeah, you just get it along the road. Having Medicare means that most providers are going to, you know, accept your insurance. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, that might be different. But I have just regular Medicare A and B, and then a supplement plan. And for prescriptions, I've been using Amazon Pharmacy. Sorrow keeps tangling up in my feet. Amazon Pharmacy ships like it's in within 2 or 3 days that you get your prescription. So that's worked out well. Well, good morning. It's a few days later. I started to run out of daylight, and so needed to stop. And we'll pick up again with the questioning. And I'm also in a new state. I'm in New York now. Next group of questions are about new to RVing. So if you're new to RVing, this might be pertinent to you. What was your biggest newbie mistake? I've made a lot of them, but I think probably the biggest one was, and I didn't actually make this when I was new. I made this after several years, but still, I consider this a newbie type of mistake. I was hitching up my fifth wheel, and I forgot to drop my tailgate. I don't know why, but anyway, I backed my truck into the hitch box and damaged the tailgate of my truck quite severely. So that was a repair that I wasn't expecting. How long did it take to feel confident driving your RV? Well, for me, it wasn't long at all. I had driven school bus, and also city bus in the past for a living. Driving a big vehicle wasn't really all that foreign to me. It did take some time to, figure out the turning points and how far out into an intersection you needed to go before you turned to make sure that your rear tires aren't dragging over a curb or something like that. But it wasn't that long. For people who are new to it, it really, I mean, it seems scary, but you'll get used to it. And do practice. Go into an empty Walmart parking lot or something like that. Do turns around the rows and things like that and see where it is that your RV is tracking. Make sure your mirrors are adjusted so that you can see the side of your RV and see where it's tracking. Be aware of tail swing, because when you turn a large vehicle, because of the physics of where the rear wheels are, the actual back end of the RV, whether it's a trailer or a Class A, will swing out in the opposite direction of your turn. So you have to make sure that you're not close to something on that side. Any advice for downsizing from a house to an RV? Yes, be brutal. If you're going full-time and you're getting rid of your sticks and bricks or apartment or whatever, yes, you can do the storage route. You can put things into storage if you're certain that you're going to only do this on a temporary basis. But for me, this was a permanent change when I decided to go full-time. I wasn't planning on going back to apartment or house living. The key word was to be brutal. Get rid of everything. Sell everything that you can. The tendency is to hang on to things because either you might need them or they are have some sort of value to you, sentimental value or whatever. And yes, it's nice to keep those things, but man, storage space on an RV is limited. Try to not stuff it up with things that you'll never use. Be brutal. How do you learn to use your RV's systems, plumbing, electrical, etc.? Well, if you have a good dealer and your dealer is knowledgeable, they'll do a walkthrough. But you can imagine that a salesperson or some other person at the dealer, they have 4 or 5 or 6 different RV brands or manufacturers, and then each of those brands or manufacturers have 7, 8, 9, 10, a dozen models. It can be difficult to remember where everything is, excuse me, on all of those. So the walkthrough you get may not be as thorough as you would like it to be. The place I have learned the most about my RV has been on YouTube. You'll find lots of people who are traveling in that type of RV and will have lots of information for you. And the other thing is Facebook forums. If you do a search on your model in Facebook, I'm sure that there's going to be a page for that, and you can join that group. And if you have questions, ask the group. That's what they're there for, is to answer those kinds of questions. Any tips for staying organized in a small space? In addition to being brutal when you make the change from a sticks and bricks home to an RV, is to use systems, use bins and things like that to organize your stuff. For me, I try to stick to the rules of everything has a place. I'm a bit of a messy person, and so I have stuff that's often cluttered around on my countertops and things like that. But when it comes to move day, I put everything back into the place where it belongs, and that way, at least for the next move, it starts there. The other rule that I follow, the self-imposed rule, is that if I bring something new, if I bring something new into the RV, then something else has to go. There's just not room for you to buy things and add a lot of stuff to the RV unless you make room for it by getting rid of something else. So the last 5 questions are just kind of general personal questions or things that didn't fit into any of the other categories. First one, have you ever had a major RV fail? Yeah, not too long ago, a couple months ago, I was in the Black Hills region of South Dakota. and I had been camping, or I was camping at a RV park that didn't have water connections. So you had to rely on the water that was in your freshwater tank in your RV. And I was driving from one place to another with a full freshwater tank. And my freshwater tank is, I think it's about 96 gallons. So it's significant in size. That's a lot of weight. You know, the manufacturer says that you can do that, and you should be able to do that. I mean, it's if you're using your freshwater tank, you need to be able to fill it and drive to wherever it is that you're going to be camping. Anyway, hit a bump on the road, and the whole tank just dropped out of the bottom of the RV onto the road. It was dragged along, so it was still connected in some ways. Yeah, that was a major fail. I was lucky, and I had some people stop and help me, and we got underneath there and ratcheted up the tank. I had some ratchet straps, and they had some straps as well. And I drove that way for another 6 weeks until I got to Elkhart, where I was planning on having some other work done on the RV, and they fixed it there. So yeah, that was a major fail. If you could give your past self one RVing tip, what would it be? You know, I think this is a theme with the questions. Things will go wrong. I mean, you're in an RV, you're in a box that's made out of lightweight materials. It's not like it's made with 2x4s or 2x6 framing structure. It's lightweight, and it's got materials that are not the strongest. So things are going to go wrong. The tip I have is that how do you deal with it when things go wrong? You know, I have just learned not to stress. Things will go wrong. It's RVing. That's what's going to happen. Things are, going to break. Water tanks are going to drop out. You know, you're going to back your truck up into the hitch box. So things are going to go wrong. And for me, if I get all stressed about it, then that just makes it worse. And it's going to be a stressful situation. But if I can just slow down, remain calm, it'll all get worked out. It always does. What's your can't travel without it RV item? So my cameras. I'm a photographer. I've been a photographer all my life. Having my cameras with me and taking pictures of the places that I've been has been fantastic. I don't always share them publicly, but I have a lot of pictures and memories that I just really enjoy. Yeah, the camera's the one thing. Have you ever had a close wildlife encounter? Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, I'm a photographer, and I've been to the Grand Teton and Yellowstone National Parks 4 times in the past 5 years. And each time I'm there, I've gone out and sought out wildlife in the parks with my cameras. I've seen numerous grizzly bears, bison, of course, elk, owls, you name it. I've seen them, pronghorn. Yeah, it's been great. If you stopped RVing tomorrow, what would you miss the most? I don't know. Waking up in a new spot on a regular basis. I just love being in different places all of the time. Seeing nature, not having the same view out my windows. It's great. And I would miss that terribly if I were to stop RVing. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you found it interesting and informative. If you did, please give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Well, that's it for now. Be kind, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.